like a left-wing candidate is scared to say, like, I'm against abortion at 9 months, because it seems like the far left who do support that kind of have an unjustified control over everyone else in the party. Same thing for trans people. The real thing we should take away is that Merrick Garland is a fucking dumbass, because he waited until 2022 to appoint Jack Smith to prosecute Trump, when Trump clearly should have been prosecuted the moment Biden took office. Okay, literally every developed country that had an election, the incumbent party lost vote shares. I think a big part of that was inflation. Really, there are things that Democrats need to do. But really, to me, it just feels like the big issue is that there's basically no accountability on the side of Republicans. Like, when Donald Trump does fucking January 6th, he basically gets away with it. When Fox News loses a defamation lawsuit, sure, Tucker Carlson left, but the Tucker Carlson made his own show, and that's fucking more popular than he was on Fox.
You had the far left, like, suck. Even, like, Hassan, like, it's, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The far left is, like, hating on the Democratic primary candidate, and it's like,
Yeah.
There's just no unity here.
If you want to see more content like this, I would really appreciate you liking and subscribing. It really helps with the algorithm. And make sure to check out the Discord and other social links in the description.
If you don't mind, because I don't think we've really talked post-election, do you mind if I kind of ask about your opinions and, like, what you think?
Not at all.
What you think about the results?
Ask away. I mean, like, obviously, I don't like that that Trump won. Not the ideal scenario. Obviously, I don't think the election was rigged or anything. I'm not really liking Trump's cabinet pick so far. It makes me think he might be a little cuckoo crazy, as we all knew. The real thing we should take away is that Merrick Garland is a fucking dumbass, because he waited until 2022 to appoint Jack Smith to prosecute Trump, when Trump clearly should have been prosecuted the moment Biden took office. Okay, we had so much evidence that he's at least guilty of conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, and now Trump's not going to get justice. Trump and his co-conspirators also probably aren't going to get justice. But anyway. That's
Why do you think? I'm sure. I mean, it's obviously very complicated. Like, what do you think the major contributors to our loss was?
I mean, one is obviously just inflation. Inflation hurt incumbent parties around the world. I'm sure you've seen people with that take, and you might have seen the graph that, like, literally every developed country that had an election, the incumbent party lost vote shares. I think a big part of that was inflation. Another part of it was probably that I feel like Democrats are bad with some alternative media stuff. Like, the right has the whole media infrastructure of, like, Daily Wire built up, and, like, all these, like, Joe Rogan kind of leads conservative, you know, has a lot of conservatives on. All the popular podcasts are, like, conservative podcast versus I feel like Democrats don't really have that. And then Democrats didn't play into populism in the right ways. I feel like, you know, Trump's able to be pretty populist with tariffs especially, are able to, tax foundation, bring manufacturing back. I feel like Democrats, a lot of Democrats sort of don't play into that as much as they could, you know, and have more nuanced arguments about, like, why tariffs are bad, when, like, really you probably could have a more populist rhetoric for this stuff. But those are like big reasons.
He's kind of populist, but yeah.
Yeah. But, like, I feel like it'd be easy to do, like, a kind of populist narrative of, like, the YIMBYism stuff, where, like, we need to build more homes, stop government interference in preventing the building of new homes. But rather than, like, the more nuanced arguments people make for it. So I feel like those are the big reasons.
A couple more questions, if that's okay. Talk about the podcast thing. Something I've been thinking about, and I don't have a great answer. But why do you think it seems like the right seems to be dominating the independent news space a lot more? If I think of, like, the biggest, like, people even on YouTube space, like, news space, the first people I think of are usually on the right. Why do you think that is?
Some of it is just because I think they, like, started earlier and have built it up more and received more investment. Some of it might actually be because of fucking, like, you know, millionaires are more likely to and billionaires are more likely to invest in the Daily Wire than, like, left-wing shows. That's probably actually is some of it. But, like, Daily Wire started pretty early on. I think their only real comparable thing is, like, TYT, and they they. I mean, they're not nearly as popular anymore. I don't think. I don't really know. I think it's because one, they appeal to populism more, and two, they just started early on and have funding that the left has not built up.
Yeah, I definitely actually agree, especially that latter point. Yeah, I think there are examples like the Young Turks where they're there pretty early, but I think a lot of conservatives are kind of pushed off of traditional media, and so they kind of found that as like a kind of resting, a safe space, to use our liberal terminology, where they can kind of express their thoughts and views. And so, yeah, I think they were.
Yeah, there's also no fact checking and no consequences if they ever fucking get it wrong, so they can lie with impunity. But it's awesome.
True. And it's kind of like what I asked a second ago, but I want to frame this a little bit differently. What do you think, or how does the Democratic Party need to look differently in 4 years from now, do you think, to be successful? What should we focus on changes in the next 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really hard. There definitely needs to be someone needs to make a left equivalent of the Daily Wire. Okay, get Sam Harris, get Destiny, get Brylan Tyler Cohen. Okay, have them form a media company, have them do a weekly podcast. Okay, there probably needs to be that. And then probably just trying to play into more populist rhetoric, since apparently that fucking sells really hard right now. Yeah, and they need to. There are a few things that Democrats. I feel like, I feel like the far left sometimes has like a lot of negative effects on being able to control like what Democrats can say. Like a left-wing candidate is scared to say like, I'm against abortion at 9 months, because it seems like the far left who do support that kind of have an unjustified control over everyone else in the party. Same thing for trans people who are like, Democrats are scared to say that like someone who hasn't medically transitioned should not be able to play in women's sports, because the far left is really against that, and they have an unjustified amount of control over what the rest of the space says. So I feel like those things are big, but
that definitely is the issue. I'm curious if any responses to this. I think a big failing on Democratic Party, and I can see why this happened, is they've not been as appealing to men as they needed to. I don't agree with it, but I can totally understand why some men have been drifting more to the right or toward supporting Trump.
Yeah,
compared to the
I feel like that also has to do with some of the far left having like an unjustified amount of control, because like the far left is obsessed with like power structures. So if you're a white man and the epitome of the patriarchal racial supremacist power structure in the U.S., they don't want Democrats like appealing to young men somehow. Which by the way, I really don't know how we fucking appeal to young men at all, because I don't know. I lucked into just being able to fucking read, and therefore I support Democrats. So.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about. Obviously, I'm not going to solve the issue on my own, but I do think the left has to address that. But yeah, I don't have a great solution or answer for that. How do you make that party more appealing, or how do you have them come over to the left? Don't know the best way to address that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
it sucks because, really, there are things that Democrats need to do. But really, to me, it just feels like the big issue is that there's basically no accountability on the side of Republicans. Like, when Donald Trump does fucking January 6th, he basically gets away with it. When Fox News loses a defamation lawsuit, sure, Tucker Carlson left, but the Tucker Carlson made his own show, and that's fucking more popular than he was on Fox. So it just seems like there's almost no accountability for bad faith actors on the right, and that lets them just perpetuate this. And it's like, I just hate that. It always just feels weird to me that like we're like, what do the Democrats need to do different? When it's like, these fucking people are insane liars and they don't face any accountability.
I definitely agree with the criticism. That being said, yeah, I don't know if we can. Unfortunately, I don't know if we can stop that. I feel like.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Is that like has the power to police the right? Yeah, we kind of just have to do our best with against
our own
opponent.
people. Yeah.
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 Even though I totally agree.
I mean, I agree.
Concern. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, hopefully you're not seething too bad. Did you put any money on the election or anything?
Nope, I didn't. I don't really bet on anything now. So, I did. I think I probably told you I predicted Harris would win every swing state except Georgia and Arizona. So that prediction was wrong,
Good
but
thing you did not put money on that.
Yeah, not the worst prediction I saw. Okay, you know, other people had worse predictions. Okay, so there's that. There's that. There's that.
Well, I didn't put any money on Trump or Kamala, but someone bet me that RFK would be in office, and I won that one. So someone owes me $200.
Wow, damn.
It was $100 at one point, and they offered to double up, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'll do that."
Listen, we might get RFK as fucking health secretary or something. So there's that.
Well, I think the bet was they would be president. So pretty early on, I was like, I'm pretty confident.
Why did Kamala lose? Nonfon for 20. Complicated. Inflation was a big deal. Voters fucking hate inflation. This is part of the reason why like all incumbent parties lost vote shares.
Yeah.
Democrats didn't play into populism enough, I feel like, for whatever populism really fucking sells right now. Even if the actual policy is fucking stupid, if you do it in a populist rhetoric kind of way, people will fucking fall for it. Like tariffs, for example. I feel like Democrats don't have as big of an alternative media, thing built up. So like all the popular podcasts in Spotify are like pretty right-leaning podcasts. There aren't many popular like left-leaning podcasts. Yeah. Also, and I feel like the far left kind of has an undue amount of control on like what Democrats in the center and like more progressive but not like insane far left side can say. So like it seems like somehow the far left has like co-opted the Democratic Party into taking this like insane pro like self-ID trans woman who identifies as a woman should immediately be able to compete in women's sports. It seems like that is just not sustainable. They can't continue to exercise that control over the Democratic Party. Kamala Harris should be able to go out and say, no, I don't think you should be able to compete in women's sports if you haven't, for example, medically transitioned. But I feel like the far left would fucking screech at that, and that's why she doesn't say it. But I think primarily inflation, probably.
Yeah. And then you also had, I think you hit it on the head with the far left. You had the far left like suck, even like Hassan, like it's like that's crazy.
Yeah.
The far left is like hating on the Democratic primary candidate, and it's like,
Yeah.
There's just no unity here. But like the Republicans can have anything. They could have Matt Gaetz become AG, and they will stand behind each other single file to support it. And it's like, holy shit. We need that type of unity, okay? We need to be able to send in a criminal and then, like, listen, okay, whenever the emails came out for Hillary, those email leaks, we should have been single files defending it.
It should have been, no crime, every dude.
I don't see no charge, okay? Like that Donald Wilson.
Well, dude, that was insane. The Brett Cooper fucking video. Oh my god, she made me so pissed off. One, she was talked briefly about Trump's criminal history, and she's like, Donald Trump was convicted for just how he paid people, and like, that's an unbelievable way to frame that. Like, falsifying business records in order to cover up another crime. That's not you getting charged for how you paid people. That's a felony. Falsifying records in the commission of another crime. Maybe you should become a far leftist one day. We'll get there.
I had an argument with one recently, actually.
Oh damn! But real quick, in the documents thing, she was like, Trump was charged with mishandling documents. But guess what? It's not just Trump. Every administration since Reagan has mishandled classified documents. Like, motherfucker, it's such a dishonest framing. The crime isn't mishandling. The crime is like willful retention. And we have so much evidence that Trump willfully retained these classified documents. We have basically no evidence that any other candidate did, except arguably the strongest case you can make is against Biden when the Her report came out, which, by the way, fucking insane that Biden's own fucking DOJ investigated Biden and did their entire fucking report before Trump was charged with anything. Or not charged, but convicted of anything. But anyway, but even they concluded that they couldn't prove Biden's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. So it's insane to framing. But anyway, tell me about the leftist.
Okay. So I was invited to a cookout, okay, and I was warned that there was like an extreme he said it was a democratic socialist, and I was like
boy.
I'm prepared. And it's actually my co-host. He invited me to a cookout. And
okay, well,
I found out, this is a fun fact, okay? I ended up finding out that this Democratic Socialist actually debated Charlie Kirk like a week ago before I met him. Not from like any social media thing. He just happens to be, I didn't believe him until he showed me the video. It was one of those like Charlie Kirk going to like a college in like a pop-up tent. And just happened to debate him on one of those. And I was like, okay, that's pretty. I told him, well, I can't make the joke I made on here. I said he should have done something to Charlie Kirk, but that cannot be said on Twitch. So it could be anything, you know, positive, like maybe give him a hug. You know?
Maybe, yeah. Give him
exactly.
a quick pick in the cheek. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. But I remember it, and I was like, I didn't know who it was the entire time. And like near the end of the night, I just hear like, that's when I knew Kamala was gonna lose, and I was like, lock on. And I was like, why do you think that? And it was like, cause she wasn't helping Palestine at all. I was like, you think that would have like changed her chances?
Oh my god.
And he was like, yeah, I think she would have won, or at least like lost like better. And I was like, well, losing better would probably like, that doesn't really matter if you still lose, right? I was like,
yeah.
But what do you mean? Like, do you think she really would have won? And he's like, yeah. It's like, I mean, like when the general population is still like leaning pro-Israel, do you want to like sacrifice most of that like to like push pro-Palestinian rhetoric, or when you could just try to be both sides, like she is pushing these 6 weeks ceasefire? And he was like, yeah, but what does a 6 week ceasefire solve? And I was like, listen, I was like, that is the most, and like that was the, I actually think I said it was the most retarded thing. I was like, I think that was the most retarded thing you could say, because unironically, are you gonna tell like a Palestinian that's in the West Bank that like, oh, I'm sorry, we could have got you water, we could have got you like water.
Thank you for the 10 bits, why is Kanye West? I appreciate it.
But no, instead we just wanted to, you know, have the war to end. We wanted all of the war to end. Okay, the 6 week ceasefire wasn't enough. You just have to end a conflict that started from the beginning of time.
Also, the ceasefire released hostages too, right? Like that's probably a big deal.
That's what I said. I was like,
did it also release Palestinian prisoners? Wasn't there an exchange for Palestinian?
It was
yeah, so
that's what I was like. I was like, do you think like these people that are like missing their children don't like, especially just on either side? It's just I was crashing out in real time. But I told him if he ever wants to yell for 90 minutes to come on the podcast, so maybe I'll have him one day and I'll just yell at him.
Oh, hell yeah. That's how people vote. She wasn't pushing both sides. She was just pro-genocide. Stop capping.
Oh, God. I hear a far leftist. Locking.
I mean, if you...
Well, if you wanted pro-genocide, don't worry, you got it.
Yeah, she's less pro-genocide than Trump. Can we admit that at least? Like, clearly... Kamala Harris is less pro-Israel than fucking Biden was even, so...
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yeah. But, people don't... Biden could have won. Biden could have won. Biden could have won. I don't think that's true.
Don't fall into it. I actually talked... I was talking about that on the podcast. I was like, there's 4 groups of thought right now in the Democratic Party. There's like 1, okay, like, we just accept Kamala as and we lose. Okay. 2, we should have ran Bideners. 3, we should have had RFKers. And then we've had 4... the Berniers. Okay, the Bernies are bust. We're still around. Okay, I still hear some inklings in the shadows about how he could solve it all. He's not too old. Okay.
Yeah, I think Bernie's too old, and also I think Bernie was literally one of like 3 senators that actually underperformed Kamala Harris. We had a lot of split ticket voting, where like the senators got more votes than Kamala Harris, like in Arizona.
Yeah, I saw that a lot.
And in
Michigan was one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Bernie Sanders was one of the few senators who got less votes than Kamala Harris. So that's not really a good sign for Bernie. I do think the populist rhetoric apparently sells really fucking well right now, so we should probably try to lean into that more. Bernie maybe could do
baby.
that.
Nah, Pete Buttigieg.
I think
he's getting a following.
I think Buttigieg probably could. I think Pete Buttigieg is like Pete Buttigieg is by far the best like Democratic candidate that I've seen like do interviews. Not a fan of Newsom? Stuff. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen Newsom do like any interviews. I think Pete Buttigieg is really good at interviews.
True. Yeah. He's really well spoken. You should react to Ron DeSantis and the DeSantis Newsom debate.
Gavin Newsom. I did see that. Yeah.
Every time I hear about that, it was just apparently a bloodbath.
I don't remember exactly. I remember the moderators kept bringing up stats, so like we're very clearly biased towards like Ron DeSantis, and Newsom had to be like that. No, like this is misleading. Like it was really funny. I guess I I again, like I was just saying, people who are just really good at interviews. Like he does really well on Fox. He did really well on that Jubilee thing. I think he did really good for those things. I haven't seen Newsom do the same, although maybe it's good too. I really don't know if running someone from California would go well. It could, but like I feel like the conservative media would just be absolutely spamming images of homeless people in California and just being like, this would be everywhere. Fentanyl, California fentanyl, homeless people, they're going to make your neighborhood look like this. And I feel like that could, the median voter could be swayed by that and it would not be good. But I don't know for sure. If you want to chat with me live, sub here or go to Nonfon420 on Twitch or Kick via the links below. Once again, please like and sub to help with the algorithm, and consider sending a donation through YouTube Super Thanks to directly support me, and I'll make sure to reply to any question you ask. See you guys next time.